because when main menu open is false, we shouldn't have this class. Okay, so if I click this again, if I click the hamburger again and toggle it again, it should disappear. So let's go ahead and try that now and see what happens. Okay, so I'm clicking it and it says main menu open is false, which it should be. And now it says main menu open is true, and there's the main menu. Close it, it's false. Open it, it's true. And look at that. All of a sudden, we have a clickable menu instead of a hover menu. So we are getting close to our goal. Okay, let's continue modifying our hamburger menu. So now, right now we have an on-click menu. Okay, you can click on and off. And what I want to do now is I want to put a submenu in here. I want to have a menu and I want to have a submenu. In fact, I want the categories to be the submenu. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now, or start doing that. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I want to save this this submenu here. Okay, I want to actually copy it, and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to save the this menu panel. All right, I'm not going to need the menu button or the menu container for this, because I'm going to turn elements of the main menu into the submenu container and the submenu button. So we're going to see how that works. But right now I'm just going to copy this, and so that I don't forget what's on here, I'm going to paste it down here. And of course I'm getting an error, and the reason I'm getting an error is because now I have two elements in my template method in my view component, and that's not allowed. So I'm just going to comment this one out. Again, I'm just kind of saving this for the time being, because I know I will need it to be used as my submenu. Actually, in fact, I'm going to go ahead, and this is, you can see this is commented out, but I'm going to go ahead and highlight main menu here. And I'm going to go hit on Mac, it's Command D, and it will highlight all subsequent, well, it will highlight subsequent main menus as each time I hit Command D. And I'm just going to change all this to sub menu. Okay, and this is still a comment. And I'm going to get rid of a few things here. I don't want this class binding in here anymore. I may need to bring some of this stuff back, but for now I just want to make this as lightweight as possible. I think I will need all this stuff. Yeah, this looks good. This looks good. Okay, and I'm going to save this just like this. All right, so I've got my category submenu panel for future reference. So now I'm going to go ahead and modify the main menu. Of course, nothing over here changes because I just copied something and commented it out, essentially. So let's go ahead and make changes to this. And the changes I want to make here, instead of categories here, I am going to have still 4 things in my main menu. One of the things, instead of this classics, is I'm going to have a categories item. And this is actually going to turn in to the button for my submenu. Okay, so that's going to become the button for my submenu, and that's called categories. And then this fantasy item, I'm going to change this. Essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a main menu item for the search bar, for my account information, and for my cart. And the reason I'm going to do that is because ultimately I would like it so when that I shrink this below a certain amount that these just disappear. And since they're going to be on my hamburger menu, it's no big deal. They can still be accessed. Okay, so I'm going to change, I've changed classics to category. I've changed fantasy. I'm going to change fantasy to search, mystery to account, and romance to cart. And I'm also going to put the number of items in my cart since since my sample page has an 8 in the cart. I'm going to put an 8 over here. All right, and what else? So I have to worry about the links too. Are the links going to change? Actually, the categories link, I'm not going to change that one. I actually think it's a good idea that if I click on categories, I get the default category, which is classics. So I'm going to keep that one. But all the others, I'm just going to change to go to the home page. And of course, this would eventually be a search page. This would eventually be an account page. And this would eventually be a cart page. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. They're all going to go to the home page. Okay, so I've saved that. And now I've got categories, search, account, and these should go to the welcome page. It's already on the welcome page. That goes to my classics. You can see up here in the address bar, I've got classics there. So that goes to the right place, and everything seems to be working now. Okay, so now I want to take, that's great. Now I want to take this submenu panel and I want to insert it as part of this categories element. All right. Now the problem is that I want, let's see if I have it here. I want this sort of structure. Okay, remember the menu container at the head, then a menu button and a menu panel as direct children of the menu container. So what's happening here, I don't want to make this router link a menu container. First of all, this router link holds this categories menu item, which I want to be the submenu button. All right, so this really should be a button here. If I make the router link a menu container, that means if I click on anything in the menu panel or the menu button, it all goes to categories classics, which I obviously do not want to happen. So that's kind of irritating. The reason it's a little bit difficult to do that is because I use this tag li. So I'm basically saying that this router link is going to become an li element. All right. So I'm going to extract essentially the li element from this router link, and so that this can just become essentially have the role of a button again. So let me go ahead and do that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to make this router link. I'm sorry, not router link, but I want to make this list item explicit. And then I'm going to cut and paste this. This is going to become my button. Okay. And I'm not going to need this tag anymore. Okay. So I want to get rid of this tag because now I have this tag explicit, this li. I mean, it has to be a li because it's under the unordered list. Okay. I'll just save that to clean up the formatting. And so this is going to be, this category is, like I said, right now it's a main menu item, but I also want it to be a sub-menu button. Okay, so it's a class main menu item. I also want to make it a sub-menu button. Okay, so that will do that. I haven't created that class yet, and I'm not sure I will, but that's fine. And I want to make this a link. This is going to be the submenu container. And some of these I may not even make classes for them, but it just helps me to write them and know what they are. So I'm going to write submenu container here. So I've got my submenu container, I got my submenu button, and now what I want, inside, it has to be inside the container. The thing after my submenu button is my submenu panel. So that's where I'm going to go ahead and get this code back. I'm going to cut it from there, and I'm going to put it right after my submenu button. Okay, and then I want to comment that code back in. I'll save that, get some formatting on that. And now, look, I've got the submenu container, I've got the submenu button, and I got the submenu panel with submenu items in it. So let's see if this even works. All right, let me minimize this. And I'm going to go here, I'm going to click on it, and it kind of works. All right, I mean, I need some formatting here. This changed from white to blue, but here are my submenu items. They're not changing when I hover over them, but again, hopefully that's just a CSS thing I can take care of. And there's the search, account, and cart from my main menu. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm seeing all the links there. I want to make sure that these are distinct links that I can hover over, though. So actually, let me keep that open. All right. Since it is a clickable menu, I can keep that open. And I'm going to go ahead now and modify my CSS. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fix this blue categories color. The reason this is blue now instead of white is because this categories is no longer the router link. It no longer has a tag of a list item, so its default tag is an anchor tag, and so its style is going to default to whatever the anchor tag style is. And you can see that my links or my anchors are blue by default, so it's defaulting to the style down here. Now it turns out that within the context of this header drop-down menu, this is the only place I'm really using anchor tags, so I can style anchor tags pretty much any way I want here, because everything is all the styles are scoped, so they only apply to this component. So I'm not going to worry about how anchor tags outside of this outside of this drop-down menu are styled. I'm just going to go ahead and style mine the way I want, and I'm going to put styles on all of the states, whether they're active, whether I'm hovering over them, or whether I already visited them, just to ensure that they all get a color of white. Okay, and I did save that, and nothing is happening up here, so I have to figure out why that is. Okay, so when we last left off, I was trying to figure out why this categories item was blue, even though I knew it was an anchor tag, and I knew the styles were scoped, so I figured these would override everything. So what I did here, I'll just show you the way you can debug this, is I opened up the dev tools, okay, and in Chrome it's Command Option I, okay, on a Mac, and I went up and I selected my categories text there, and you can see that it is indeed dictated by an anchor tag. Okay, so now I'm looking for what, now I'm looking for where this is, because I'm thinking, this should override everything. I'm seeing main menu item, which just talks about the background color, so I'm not too worried about that one. But now I'm seeing A right here, okay, and in fact this is the code right here. This is all, by the way, they're all inline. It says inline 28. So all of this stuff here that you see in style scoped, that's eventually inlined, which, there's probably some question whether that's good CSS regarding the cascading style sheets are supposed to have a specific order to them. But in any event, this is the code here, and I can see that I get a little warning here. I can see that the color is crossed off, and I get a little warning. And if I put my mouse here and hover over that warning, okay, let me close that. It says invalid property value. And so if I look at the property value here, it looks like I actually misspelled white, okay? I've actually spelled it wilt here, all right? And if I take that L out of there and then save, in fact, it becomes white now. Okay, so that's a good way to use the developer tools to debug specifically a CSS problem. Okay, so let me close those out. We fixed that problem. And now we want to put some submenu styling in there. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to borrow from the main menu styling. I've got a submenu panel, so I'm going to borrow that. I do not have a submenu panel open, but I'm just going to copy all of this, and it looks like that's the last place I want to stop. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put this after that anchor tag, and yeah, this I don't have. And okay, so I'm just going to do the main menu thing, and I'm going to hit Command D, which will take me to the next one, and Command D, which will take me to the next one. Then I'm just going to type submenu. I'm going to save that, and that actually deletes that menu, that submenu, because I got a display of none. I don't want a display of none. I don't want the position absolute, position right. I don't want any of that. The white color should be inherited by the container. If it's not, I will fix that. The cursor should be inherited by the container, and I don't want a box menu on the submenu. I want the background color to be just slightly darker than this. So 0 is black, that's the darkest. I have a 4E here. I'm going to change these to 3s. And of course 333 is short for 333, 333. And then Well, it already changed it in this submenu, which looks great. I like that. I like that contrast. It's subtle. It's not blatant, but that's fine. So for the submenu item, I probably didn't have to make the main menu inline block here. I probably could have just made it block, but that's okay. I'm not going to mess with that now. The padding, instead of 1 EM, I want to tighten that up a little bit. Okay, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that looks fantastic. So the only other thing is this submenu item hover. So when I hover over these, they all get that Dodger blue. But since the background here is darker, I think I want the hover color to be a little bit darker too. And since I already have a primary color dark, which affects the text when I hover over them, I'm going to change it to that. Okay, so now, yeah, it's just a little bit darker. It's very subtle, but this gray is just a little bit darker, so I'm really liking that. And I am going to, whoops, I don't want to save that. And I think I'm going to call this finished regarding the submenu.